I'm holding hundreds of pages of newly released documents in the Caylee Anthony murder case. The contents disturbing at best. There's new information about specific clues found at the scene where Caylee's duct-taped skull was found. And that's just the beginning. Joining us live is Adam Longo, reporter for WKMG Radio. Tell me, Adam, what do these new documents show?
Well, Greta, there's several things that these documents point out. Namely, there's talk about duct tape that was found wrapped around little Caylee's skull. Apparently, the authorities have been able to match that duct tape, the same brand of duct tape, to duct tape found, a piece of duct tape found in the Anthony home. Of course, it's not absolutely conclusive this is the exact same duct tape, that according to defense sources tonight. Now, we can also tell you that there's information in these hundreds of pages of documents about a friend of Casey Anthony's. There's also new information about the meter reader who found Caylee's body in December, apparently back in August. He reported to friends of his that he was standing with that, hey guys, look over there, it looks like a skull. And then 2 days later, a deputy came out and said, Mr. Cronk, we think you're wasting the county's time. And then, of course, it was 4 months later when he did actually make that discovery. So in going through all these documents today, we did find that there was a big effort on the part of law enforcement to try to trace items found at the crime scene there where Caylee's body was found, try to trace them back to items recovered at the Anthony home that was searched twice, once just later that day after the remains were discovered. Greta?
Has there been any response from the defense team after this latest document dump and the fact that, I mean, the public does under Florida law get to see this, but have they responded to these documents?
Right, and actually for the first time we've seen a concerted effort by the part of the defense to reach out and try to talk about some of this discovery that was released today. They are calling it, quote, a lot of the forensic tests that are contained in here, they're calling it junk science. And they're also saying it's very important to point out that nobody's fingerprints were found on the duct tape that was recovered that was wrapped around Caylee's skull. They say that there is much to be learned from what's in these documents and also what's not in them.
Well, you say that there's no fingerprints on the duct tape. There's rather one unfortunate piece of information for the defense on that. And on the duct tape around the baby's skull was an imprint from a heart-shaped sticker. And, and according to another document I have, when they searched the home of Caylee Anthony, they found a sheet of multicolored heart-shaped stickers which had been cut in half. So it's not like these stickers were remote to the child.
Right. Defense sources pointing out tonight, though, that the heart sticker found at the crime scene is not the same as the sheet of stickers that was found at the Anthony home. Also, if you look, there's two CDs that was handed out to us today from the clerk's office containing some 700 pictures. And while there might have been an impression of a heart shape on the duct tape, they're saying that was wrapped around Caylee's mouth, the sticker was actually not affixed to any duct tape. It was found attached to a piece of cardboard. There is a photo of that there at the scene. And again, defense sources are saying that's not the same sticker as any of the heart-shaped stickers that were recovered from inside the Anthony family home.
Any idea how Casey Anthony's doing in jail?
Well, the jail will not release certain things about her emotional state or how she's doing, as you put it, but we have learned, again, from this discovery today, apparently on the day when it was discovered that her remains were located and when she was notified, she apparently had some sort of a nervous breakdown there in jail and had to be medicated, and that's really the last time we've heard anything about her emotional condition behind bars.
Which I guess, though, I don't think we can read anything into it. That could be a sign of a guilty person getting caught or an innocent person being stunned by the shock of finding a child murdered, right?
And that's for the analyst to say, not for me.
Yeah, well, that's the least of her problems. It's more the forensic evidence that may come back to haunt her and give her lots of problems. Adam, thank you. Former LAPD homicide detective Mark Furman joins us live. Mark, have you looked through any of these documents and your thought?
I have, and I thought it was insightful, some of the comments that the reporter made and yourself. The one thing that stands out for me is there's one thing that is something that's very hard to have a coincidence. That cloth laundry bag that was found at the scene was a certain brand. It had a brand tag inside. It was cloth, and it was inside of a black plastic bag, which obviously Caylee Anthony was inside, or her remains. Inside the Anthony home in the laundry room, there was the same brand, same type, size, color, cloth bag that was inside of a black plastic bag supposedly to be used for laundry. Now, there is such a flow of this investigation. Let's not forget that on June 16th, that is when Casey Anthony actually backed her car into the garage, and that is also the day that she borrowed a shovel. And all these items that we're seeing recovered and identified in the Anthony home are coming from the Anthony home and in a certain area that we know Casey Anthony was not only at, but she borrowed a shovel from the neighbor.
You know, the defense will, and I've done this myself. You know, when you're trying to poke holes in the prosecution's case, which is the job of the defense lawyer, talks about that these are just coincidences. The problem is, though, is that when you have so many coincidences, that it's really hard not to. I mean, it's a problem. You got the duct tape coincidence. You got the laundry bag coincidence. You got the sticker coincidence. You got the lies, the no concern, not reporting the child. That's the problem. If it were just one thing, Casey wouldn't have such a problem. But the problem is there's so many things.
Well, Greta, and the biggest problem that the defense has is the lie that Casey Anthony came up with Zenaida Gonzalez. Now, some of these things can be a coincidence, but when you put all the blame onto your nanny, Zenaida Gonzalez, who was fictitious in her role as a nanny for Casey Anthony taking care of Kaylee, and then having that person never be at the Anthony home, yet acquire all these items that they're finding inside the Anthony home in an innocent state, and then find them at the location, the final resting place of Kaylee Anthony. But I want to say that the Orange County Sheriff's Department has identified 3 crime scenes. One is the Anthony home, where they believe, and I believe, that that's where the homicide occurred. That is where the first disposal of the body either went from that home or in a close vicinity of that home. And then the final resting place was, of course, between some period before the 27th, when the car was dumped, that the decomposing body of Kaylee was put into the car, and that evidence was left in the car. So all these problems, the defense doesn't just have one crime scene problem that's Casey's connected with, or even 2. They've got 3. And I'd agree with you. The coincidence, it starts becoming not only not believable, it starts creating a motion picture of a murder, and I think that's what we have in this case.
And imagine having to explain all of them away. But the other thing, too, is that her parents will also be called to the witness stand, and they, of course, have some information that no doubt is going to be... Go ahead.
Greta, could I bring up, when you bring up Cynthia Anthony and their testimony, when they did the search warrant in December, about a week after the discovery of Kaylee Anthony's remains, they were looking for certain items that they were trying to identify from the Anthony home. And one was a Winnie the Pooh blanket that was supposedly found at the scene that had been faded from the weather. And Cynthia Anthony made an exclamation, a spontaneous exclamation, that we're missing a Winnie the Pooh blanket of Kaylee's. Now, that doesn't get any better for testimony than that. They're not asking. They make a statement what they're looking for, and she states it's missing. I think that's another powerful piece of evidence.
Mark, thank you.